right, it is, of course, everybody's business once again beginning today. As promised, we are back on UTVI asking the big question from today onwards until that 100th day of government. What do you really think about this government's much touted, much hyped 100-day agenda? What does it really mean for you? What do you really feel about it? We will take ministry by ministry, minister by minister, and analyze for you what that 100-day agenda, those 100-day agendas, as it were, of each ministry really means. Beginning, of course, tonight with the big exclusive UTVI survey with my friend YASHWANT DESHMUKH of Sea Voter. He's been there with us steadfast from the elections, continues with us through this month, asking the big question, what does India really feel about the 100-day agenda? Let's have the survey results first for you. What did India, and remember, we surveyed, YASHWANT and his team surveyed 2,500 families, not individuals, families across 20 Indian states. One of the biggest giant surveys ever to find out what India feels about the 100-day agenda. The results. A big thumbs up. Unanimously, India has given a big thumbs up to the 100-day agenda idea. Remember, I say idea, not exactly every plan. I'll answer why in just a bit. 66% of the people surveyed said the 100 days agendas will lead to better performance of ministries and in fact ministers. Remember, the survey asked them very specifically, do they think it will do well for the ministers? Do they think it will do well for ministries? They said yes on both counts, 66%. Also, 56% of the people feel that the 100-day agenda will be implemented well by the ministry. They feel it will give them some sense of focus, some direction. Also, 52% of India feels that the 100-day agenda will bring about perhaps a greater sense of efficiency. You'll know why I say sense and not exactly efficiency in just a bit. 19% of the people feel that which ministry will do the best job? Well, it's Mamata Banerjee, mercurial as she is, her railway ministry. Alright, 43% completely agree and 30% somewhat agree with the 100-day agenda focus. The exact focus of the government, they think it's a good focus, it's a good idea. But, and this is a big but, 32%, and that's the highest number surveyed, highest number polled rather in this particular question, 32% of the people feel that when those 100 days are over, actually not all promises will be met. That's a critical thing. Some promises perhaps will be met, but all promises, quite often that's what the government does to us, will not be met. Let me quickly then, even as we take your question, remember, we can take all your questions on the 100-day agenda beginning today for the next half an hour and through the week. Let me turn to YASHWANT DESHMUKH. I actually want to come to the last point. 32% believe that all promises will not be met.
In fact, if you add up the can't says or don't knows into that, it will become a staggering more than 60%, roughly about two-thirds, saying that probably it will not be met, or I don't know it can be done or not. I believe that you have done justice to say that the people have liked the idea, but it's a big question mark. Is it achievable? Whether or not it's deliverable? Are the ministers going to do, are they going to walk the talk? Big question mark. Idea-wise, it's good, because let's also accept the fact that generally speaking, the politicians have the freedom of being audited once only in 5 years.
That's right.
This is probably a good idea for the people because they can see, okay, there is a regular auditing, 100 days.
So we and UTV are trying to really audit them at regular basis.
Exactly. That's a lovely idea. I would love to see if they are checked at regular interval, and if you ask the people, give them voice again. They don't have to wait for 5 years to give the verdict. Every 100 days, good enough. I want to see what is being performed. I want to judge it. Even a nursery student, poor chap studying in a nursery or a primary class, probably giving a monthly test or even a tri-monthly test even every third month. These ministries, this government certainly needs to be audited much
far greater social audit. I mean, that's something that we've argued for some time now. The other, this thumbs up, did that surprise you, YASHWANT? Because we were talking about, before we went into the survey, we saw the results of the post-budget, we saw election surveys. When we went into this survey, were we this optimistic?
They are right now overtly optimistic, probably.
Were we this optimistic? Probably not.
Probably not.
Right.
Probably not. But the common man was.
Right.
And let me say this right in front of all the viewers, that a big chunk of this optimism has some way, related directly to the transparency and honesty factor of the Prime Minister.
So
somewhere
the goodwill factor of the Prime Minister seeps down.
Exactly. The goodwill factor is there. That is why it seeps down to all the ministries. But there is a problem in the reverse trend as well.
Right.
If something goes wrong, it is the same goodwill which is going to be dented in a big way.
So the honeymoon period in some senses of the Prime Minister clearly continues now. How long do you think it will continue?
It will continue till the point the opposition really starts behaving like an opposition.
I wanted to ask you, do you think he's been helped by the fact that we haven't actually reached a drought-like situation? The monsoons have come, the rains have come. Had they been delayed by 3 or 4 weeks, there would have been, the Prime Minister's goodwill would have started to melt.
He has been a bit lucky. I mean, no doubt about that. But let's also come to the fact that some areas where there has been no whatsoever it's kind of relief to the people. So say, for example, the inflation, the price rise.
That's right.
It's all-time high. People have got no respite, no relief in the terms of price rise. But still, people are not directly blaming the Prime Minister. So he enjoys goodwill. He enjoys. He's right now enjoying a honeymoon period. But if these things continue for a longer period, I doubt that this is going to be the same for a long period. So he has to work really hard to see that whatever he is promising or his ministers are promising, somewhere it gets delivered as well. Or
okay,
it starts getting delivered as well.
I also wanted to ask you, Yashwant, the big question is, when we look at this survey results, 66% said thumbs up, but only 56% said that the 100-day agenda will be implemented. Is there a gap there?
That's the
66%
gap.
saying that
Absolutely.
it will lead to perhaps
I'm glad
a good
that you are
idea,
hitting it.
but 56% saying it will be implemented.
I'm glad that you are hitting the nail right on the head.
Right.
Because 50% plus something is glass half full and glass half empty.
That's right.
If I had to make a headline the other way, I would say almost about 50% of Indians feel that
it will not be implemented.
It will not be implemented.
That's right. Yeah.
So the idea is good. They have liked the idea, but unless they actually implement it, that's a big question. And 100 days is such a short period.
That's right.
If you plan and promise something for 100 days, you don't deliver, you get the marks right on the 101st day.
Okay.
People are not going to wait.
You've been with us from the elections and we've gone through this entire process of a big election, the historic victory of the Congress. I wanted to ask you, is the 100-day agenda, declaring every ministry coming out with a 100-day plan, is that a good idea, or is it actually a ditch that they're digging for themselves? Because after 100 days, we're going to hold them to these promises.
I would say it's not a kind of ditch that they are realizing that people are getting impatient.
That's right.
If they don't really come out with this kind of agenda and this kind of public auditing or transparency, then probably they know that they're going to go for a toss. And let's not forget, 100 days are coinciding with precisely the election momentum in Maharashtra.
Correct.
So
that's right.
That is also somewhere there that they are trying to pace it in a way that so that they can really come up with something to show to the people. Okay, that's what we did in Delhi. Here we are in Mumbai. Come and vote for us.
That's right. The other big thing that it really occurred to me when I was looking at the survey is, 43% say they completely agree. 30% say they somewhat agree with the. Again, there seems to be a gap here.
There is a gap, and sometimes people say that why are you asking completely agree and somewhat agree?
Yeah.
Because you can simply ask, do you agree or not? Yes or no?
Right.
But everything is not in black and white. There is a grey area. That is precisely where we put these kind of answers in when we design the questionnaire.
And that's what we aimed at in the survey, isn't it?
Yeah.
We wanted to find exactly the voice of the people.
Exactly.
Not black and white, because a lot of the area, as you're saying, is in the grey.
So it's not an overwhelming sentiment of all-out support.
Yeah.
There is a grey area.
Support with question mark.
With question mark, because the honeymoon period is there. That is why it looks like in somewhat agree.
Right.
But it will take only 100 days for this to shift to somewhat disagree.
That's right.
And it will take only one more year if they don't perform from somewhat disagree to completely disagree.
Right.
That's how the public opinion shifts. So they need to be extremely careful in promising and in delivering what they have promised.
We spoke to people from 20 states, Yashwant. what seemed to be the weakest link, the weakest area in this? And we've been doing the surveys now for like almost 15 days. Before that, almost for months we've been doing these surveys. In the entire Congress goodwill, if I were to put it that way, across the states, which is the weakest link? Which area of India is the weakest link?
I think the weakest link is still happens to be the rural India.
Right.
That's because most of the urban India is giving a thumbs up sentiment.
Right.
Rural India is still wrapped up in the courtesy of, in the curiosity of monsoons.
Okay, hold on to that fact. Rural India is the weakest link. We'll come back and ask the big question, what can they do about this weakest link? Back in just a bit.